Welcome to the most Jurassic podcast
The
of this
beautiful,
week.
magnificent Jurassic Park. The Fraternal Fanatics have taken a trip to Jurassic Park.
To the island off the coast of Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw some dinos. We saw some...
Mighty fine dinos.
I don't remember many names.
Saw Triceratops.
You did see
We
Triceratops.
saw Brachiosaurus. We saw Tyrannosaurus Rex. We saw
Velociraptors.
Velociraptors.
Couple of fierce ones.
Very fierce. Very cunning and clever.
Yeah, little fuckers, eh?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
They
if
learned how
that's
to open
'cause
doors, too.
They learn, right? It was said at one point by
right at the beginning, yeah.
Crocodile Dundee guy, park ranger there. Yeah, he was like they were learning the gate system or whatever. I mean, right at the beginning,
they were testing
right.
the electric fence, eh? Like they
Mhm.
were going from point to point.
And they were surveying, watching, and understanding the weak points and taking it all in. Where are the vulnerabilities? What's the timing? The attack window? They're clever little buggers.
They certainly are.
But yeah, I don't know if that's indicative of reality in that era, or if that's because they were bred in a lab and developed some sort of intelligence due to that.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, velociraptors in the Jurassic period didn't really have doors to contend with.
No, I'm not saying the doors so much necessarily, but just like, clever. I'm sure, actually the speech that was given by Hammond, was that his name, the main guy?
The Hammond was
Hammond
the
was
owner
the
of...
guy.
Yeah. Hammond was Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, yeah. What's the guy's name again?
Sam.
Yeah, when Sam gives
something.
the speech to the kid about velociraptors, like, that's pretty good foreshadowing.
Scares him straight.
Yeah.
That kid fucking deserved every ounce of fear that was instilled within him. The callous, offhanded way he talked about these raptors, unreal.
I don't know how you could have so much confidence talking about how you are bigger than a dinosaur.
Yeah. A 6-foot turkey with razor sharp teeth and claws. That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's fucking terrifying. That's probably the scariest thing I've ever seen. I've ever heard of.
By that.
You would get dismantled. You would get cut to pieces
Shredded
by that thing.
As we see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess not
indirectly.
Yeah. We see the aftermath of it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, they're vicious buggers. They kind of remind me of hyenas in that sense. Like travel in packs, attack in packs, strategic, they have to be because they're smaller. If they're taking on bigger foes or bigger prey, then they got to be smart about it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, what was your favorite? Who's your favorite dinosaur of the bunch?
Favorite dinosaur of the bunch had to be that the 6 Stegosaurus, or was it a Stegosaurus or Triceratops?
That
the
was
sick
eaten...
one.
Oh, the one that had a cold.
Yeah, I just felt bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, man. But yeah, that was obviously our first time seeing a classic movie. Like, neither of us had ever seen that one, but it's very acclaimed, very revered.
Yeah, iconic Spielberg film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm surprised I hadn't seen it in its entirety before now, but obviously I'm glad I did now.
Yeah.
Because it lives up to or at least in my mind, it lives up to the hype. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's... Yeah, even the effects are pretty masterfully... I imagine it was a lot of miniatures or something, just based on, when it was made. But I guess...
Yeah, maybe they built, bigger practical set piece dinosaurs. I'm not sure if it was...
Well, no, the dinosaurs were, They trained the dinosaurs. I just mean the settings and the mountains.
No dinosaurs
and
were
stuff.
harmed during the making of this film.
Absolutely none.
Yeah, they did well on that then. They had some masterful trainers.
Very well trained dinosaurs, yeah. Hard to come by these days. It's like the dragons in Game of Thrones. It's just, it's why you can't make shows like that. Not everybody can get those dragons and dinosaurs.
But yeah, no, for the 90s, like early 90s, that it was an impressive feat, I guess, in filmmaking for its time. And like you said, it really does, like even now, like it looks good, and maybe that's credit to the way it was shot too. Good like use of lighting and shadows, and hiding if it was animatronics, like hiding that aspect of it for the most part. And just like the width of shots too helped. And
yeah, you could see like the mass and the scale of the scene, especially like the scale of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when the
compared to the
Brontosaurus. So no, that's not the
one with the long neck.
Yeah,
it was like reaching up into the tree. Is that the scene you're talking about?
Yeah, but before that we saw them coming out of the water.
Yeah.
And like the scale of those things compared to this, it was
that
was a
far back shot of them kind of like first arriving to Jurassic Park after seeing the initial dinosaur and seeing like the landscape of them all kind of creeping around out there.
Yeah, you can see the scale of those down. They're fucking massive.
Yeah, that was a cool shot for sure.
Yeah, we thought Fat Bastard was huge.
It's a different story.
But yeah, I guess it was CGI and animatronics.
Okay.
I imagine so. Like the raptors and shit, I guess would have been a mix of CG and animatronics, and then those
depending on the shot. Yeah.
Brontosaurus would have been full CG, I guess, which holds up unbelievably well if that's the case.
Yeah, like those far back shots.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, really well done for sure for its time.
And the music too. Like it's funny how such an iconic theme, like the Jurassic Park theme, that main score is so recognizable. Yeah. But it's so recognizable for a movie that I hadn't seen before.
Amazing how that works.
Yeah, it's iconic. I guess that's just it's iconic. Like it's the cultural significance outweighs.
It's transcended through itself, kind of.
Yeah, through like its medium, or like I don't know where else I would have heard it, but I just know that music is the Jurassic Park theme.
Interesting. I don't know how you would make that connection if you hadn't seen the film before. Like, had you seen the music overlaid in like some sort of meme or sequence about Jurassic Park itself, or just that music used over in another context?
I don't know. I guess just that music used over in another context. But maybe like I've seen the trailer or something.
Okay.
And subliminally like recognize the music for that, or
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, funny how it comes full circle now, and the meme about Jeff Goldblum's
character. It was so funny that like I don't know, what was that, 2 minutes before the scene of that, like that shot came up, I was like, oh shit, this is the movie with this is the movie that the meme is from. Yeah, no, that was like a more fun part of watching this movie than it being a really good movie.
Right.
Is just like these more cultural significant things, or more culturally significant to me.
Sure.
That show up, and I can have a good chuckle about stuff like that.
Yeah, you make those connections. They come full circle now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that scene, the meme is taken a little bit out of sequence too, eh? Did you notice that? Like, whenever Jeff Goldblum actually says the line, it's not like the freeze frame that's used for the meme that comes like 10, 15 seconds later or something.
I even did notice too, in that shot, there's a guy in the front seat, like just the guy driving them around, I guess.
Okay.
But he's not in it. Like, I can't tell. I should check, but I can't tell if the meme is just zoomed in on Jeff Goldblum, or if the meme, they've cut out this other guy that's in the shot, and that image has been reused so many times, just not giving absolutely no credit to this other actor who's in the show.
Poor guy.
Exactly. Yeah, just getting cut out of
moment
every
of limelight.
millions of memes flowing across the internet every day, and he's just washed.
Could have been part of it all these years.
Yeah, he's just missing out.
That's
He could have been like
if that's true.
Bad Luck Brian, just an absolute legend anywhere he goes. Despite that awesome introduction to Jurassic Park, we gotta point out the hilariously poorly managed security in this place.
It's brutal.
It is abysmal. It almost doesn't exist. I almost don't even want to give it credit for...
But they spared no expense.
No expense. A lot of people say we spared the expense.
We see the incompetence pretty early on, too, like with the opening scene where they're transporting the raptor into the park there from the steel box. Like, they're opening the gate by hand, just lifting the thing up. That can't be a great idea. You gotta have it more secure than that. Like
that thing is
winch system or something like that.
15 feet long by 20 feet wide. Unbelievably heavy, solid steel door, and one guy is just pulling that thing.
I mean, yeah, the logic of that even in itself is ridiculous, but
yeah,
it's a raptor.
Yeah, OSHA would be all over that. All over it. OSHA, like
OSHA.
the workplace hazard company.
Yeah, they'd be getting dinged left and right.
They'd be having a field day.
Well, isn't that why they sent the lawyer to the park, though? To get, like, the safety check and make sure things were A-okay for, like, guests to start arriving to the park, I guess?
Well, that's what I was thinking, too, but maybe that's not, like, were they... I guess I don't know when that raptor transportation happened, because Hammond says that he bought the land from the government. He doesn't say what government, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
But whatever.
The U.S. government,
but it's off the coast of Costa Rica. It's not land owned by the U.S. Anyways, he doesn't say what government. Doesn't matter what government. He bought the land from
he
the government.
Procured the land,
Yeah, but was that after this program, this Jurassic reanimation program had already been in place? Like, did that happen before Hammond? Did that transportation that we see that went wrong happen before Hammond even took over? And maybe the lawyer was coming not, like, to see if the park was viable for
guests,
tourist guests, and stuff like that. But maybe it was about the specimen that they killed. I shouldn't say kill because I don't know if they killed that raptor, but at the beginning, the specimen that they harmed, or... Yeah,
that's an interesting way to look at it. I hadn't thought of it that way. I thought it was more like I was taking more from the speech that he gives the archaeologists at the beginning in his trailer to get them on board to come visit the park and give their sign off on it, basically, because he needs approval to, like, get this thing off the ground. My takeaway was, like, he's been at it for years and years and years. Like, he's procured the land. That was the first step, but that was years ago. And now he's built this, like, paradise and started, genetically engineering prehistoric life on this island, this contained island. And has, some degree of preserving that from the outside world. And hasn't exposed anyone to it, I guess, yet. So he's, like, operating, in a gray area, I guess. It's his land, so he's doing what he wants with it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's looking to make the money off of it, right? Like, at the end of the day, that's what he wants from it. And I think that's why the lawyer's there. So I think in my head it's been a much more drawn-out process for him. And this is, like, this hinges on years and years and years of work, this approval from the archaeologist and the lawyer sign off, I guess, on, like, safety and general,
right,
readiness for the public to come. So him given all that, knowing all that, and at what stage the park's in. I mean, I think Hammond has like, he's hand waved over a lot of the possible implications of things going wrong. Just saying, like, we've spared no expense. We've spent all this money. Like, obviously nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, as if that shields him from risk and liability. Like, just because you spent every dime you have,
it doesn't
means he's
mean
safeguarded
anything.
from...
Yeah. So yeah, I take it as like, he's almost in a desperate manner hoping that this visit from the archaeologists and the lawyers goes, and Jeff Goldblum's character, who's like, I don't know what his
He's a
cog in the wheel is.
Yeah, he's a mathematician, I guess they say, isn't he? But a scientist
Yeah, I
anyway,
suppose so.
of another kind.
Just unpredictability studies like chaos theory and stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes sense with dinosaurs. Like, he's done, that's the thing, like, Hammond's done a lot of things right. There's just things he's overlooked too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's just too hard set on starting to make some money off this because he spent so much time and money investing in it that, like,
is that what
he's willing to
overlook for the cash?
I mean, I think it's a mix of, I don't get the sense that he's like a greedy, money hungry kind of guy, but I think that does drive it a bit, in addition to, like, obviously with his grandchildren, like, you can tell that, like, he wants, like, to provide this sense of this place that has this sense of wonder for people, and, like, to provide this, awe, entertainment of this impossibility of prehistoric life re-existing again. So I think he does kind of, there's some inherent goodness in what he wants to do. But I think at the end of the day, too, he's invested so much in this park that he needs to make some money off of it too, in my eyes.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's protecting his intellectual property in the DNA sequencing, dinosaur DNA sequencing, pretty closely. That's why the whole subplot with Gendry, or not Gendry, I'm thinking of Game of Thrones, Nedry. Yeah, I thought the pacing of his sort of subplot was really well played out. Like, they kind of tease it early on as they're setting everything up. He's up to something, that. And he's a mole inside job working on, like, a kind of a corporate espionage case, trying to steal the dinosaur embryos. But then it's kind of left. We get more into the park and stuff, and we forget about it a little bit, put it to the side, and Nedry's just kind of working away, plugging away at his computer there, and he's not really, like, acting on his mission yet. So I feel like we kind of put it to the side, and then it's reactivated at a crucial point in the movie where I just felt like the pacing of it was really well played out. But I was a little disappointed with the lack of payoff, I guess. I thought, considering it's like knowing now in retrospect that it's like a series type of thing, I thought that he was going to get those embryos out to someone, and that was going to be sort of left as a cliffhanger to be picked up later on. What happens with these missing embryos type of thing.
Yeah, I imagine that's what the second movie, or that is involved in the second movie. But it is a bit of, like, the guy that put Nedry on the case said that this can had, it was good for 72 hours to keep them cool at the right temperature, like, to keep them stored. But, that's in a pile of mud. Like, if the second movie does have anything to do with that, it'll have to be a bit screwing around.
It probably won't be those same embryos. Like, I think those same embryos.
Yeah. But they left that pretty open-ended.
Right? I know. If it is that same ones, then okay, you got to hand wave a little bit. But
yeah. probably quite a bit, but I guess we'll have to check that out.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that has any reference whatsoever to a continued storyline, I guess.
Yeah, it was they did play really well with us not knowing how like high ranking Nedry was for a long time. Like he just seemed like, you'd ask any guy. Like he just seemed like a guy that could be working, like a maintenance guy that could be working on the park.
Yeah, he
Not
was a
necessarily
back
like the
end,
head of
just
security.
like coding the
Yeah.
But in reality, he had access to everything because
he
of
was
that
the
position,
guy,
right?
Yeah.
But it's not like he was like, oh, I can access this dinosaur embryo bat cave looking thing like anytime I need to without anyone like, suspecting anything. Because it's like I'm supposed to be here, I'm testing things or whatever. But he had the systems to be able to maneuver his way in there without anybody really
finding
none the wiser.
Yeah, even by the point that they all escape, nobody finds out.
He's already like executed half, well, actually almost the totality of his plan by the time anyone's recognizing what he's done. Yeah, all of a sudden he's just gone. They're like, oh, where the things are going wrong. They're getting errors all over the park, and they're like, where's Nedry? We don't know how to work the system here. We need this guy to figure it out. And all of a sudden he's already taken the embryos and he's on his way. So
yeah,
he did a pretty good job, honestly. Like, gotta tip my cap to him. If it wasn't for the unpredictability of the dinosaurs, and the storm, I guess, the convergence of those two factors, then my guy would have been in the wind.
Yeah, well, he did say he wasn't paid well enough, and from what we see, he is pretty damn good at what he does, so maybe he's not as wrong as they make him out to be.
Which the payment thing doesn't really track. If Hammond really spared no expense, does that not include the payment of your staff? Spared no expense on the gear and the gadgetry and the technology of the park, but not on, like, the payroll.
Well, you gotta make budget cuts somewhere. It is what it is. It's inflation. It's the sign of the times.
Well, you didn't see Sam Jackson complaining.
No, he was just in a coma of cigarettes.
Yeah. That guy was... There wasn't a single moment, I don't think, that guy wasn't puffing on a cigarette.
No.
I wonder, maybe he was just burnt out or something, too. Maybe that was a conveyance of... Yeah. As opposed to Nedry's kind of turn to the dark side and selling Hammond's secrets to the competitor. His coping mechanism is just to chain smoke.
Just pound darts back, yeah.
And then it seems like everybody else is pretty content with their... Like B.D. Wong's character, the more scientific guy, is just working on the eggs. He's having some fun. There's not too many disgruntled staff, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's really
just the one. Yeah. Well, I guess the guy that Crocodile Dundee there, that's in charge of the Raptors.
Yeah, but I think he's probably just like a bit frustrated with the like negligence.
Yeah, he was just more of a safety guy.
Yeah,
like
he knew like shit was gonna go south, or shit could go south pretty quickly with the system they had if something went wrong. So
good thing he was wrong, though. And everybody was safe in the end. Including him.
Well, I don't know about everybody, but including him, yeah. Didn't he get torn to shreds?
Oh, he got pounced on by a fucking raptor, yeah.
But he respected the way he went out. Didn't he make a comment before he went out?
He was like nicely done, yeah. Or clever girl, he says.
Yeah. Clever girl. Yeah, that was good. I like that. Just like, give credit where credit's due.
Some props,
He's a wild man and like living in the wild with wild animals.
Yeah,
he's like,
they were hunting each other and the raptor wins.
Yeah.
All right, somebody had to.
Gets the upper hand.
Yeah.
You take the kill.
It's like me when we play Heroescape.
Excuse me. I think Big L came out on your end last time.
We don't talk about those, though. What did you think of, like, the scientific justification that we see? And I'm putting major air quotes on scientific justification.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know. I think for, like, a layman like myself, it was actually a pretty compelling description that seemed kind of logical in my mind. Like, the whole mosquitoes sucked on the blood of dinosaurs and then were preserved for years and years and years and years and years in amber and then extracted, mined out, and that blood was extracted from them and then sort of transformed through DNA sequencing into dinosaur DNA. Like, I guess it's sort of like they put enough thought into it for me to be like, okay, like it kind of, and then with the whole like kind of fun 90s graphic they used that reminded me of like Clippy from Microsoft Word, like traveling through the prehistoric universe or something.
I immediately thought Miss Minutes from Loki.
Oh yeah,
right away I was like, this is a male Miss Minutes. This is awesome.
Yeah. Mr. DNA or something, is that what they called it?
Something like that.
But yeah, I thought that was a great, like, yeah, their kind of explanation for how things worked exactly to revive these creatures.
Well, and it was funny that one of the things that Mr. DNA there mentioned is they use, these supercomputers to decode these million lines of data in the DNA strand from a single drop of blood. And it was just the way he described it is a funny parallel to, like, that's a real problem that AI is actually solving right now. Like, and probably has been for years. You know what I mean? Like, reading massive lines of code or massive documents or whatever, like, that's AI's bread and butter right now. That's exactly what we're training it on.
Yeah, Hammond's got like supercomputers, like quantum computing, cracked the code in the 90s.
And he's just using ChatGPT.
Yeah, he's created his own Hammond GPT.
Well, he's got 4.0. Yeah. Like, he's got the subscription. He's good to go.
This park was created on the back of ChatGPT. We spared no expense on 4.0.
Yeah, that's what he spared no expense on, is the fucking AI plot. That's so funny. And then he asks AI, what's the cheapest way I can make this park or this project?
Oh, just hire one guy.
Here is the most inexpensive plan.
Yeah.
Get terrible security.
But viable. For the most part. But yeah, no, I was actually like pretty impressed by the way they thought things out.
It had enough that you could grab onto it and be like, I recognize that this is fiction, but it's explained enough that I'm okay with it. Yeah. It's like the opposite of time travel in some movies. It's like that they've done such a bad job of, keeping their, ducks in a row or like the rules in line that it just becomes an unwatchable mess. Yeah. This is the opposite of, like, it has enough logical rules to grab onto. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can roll with this.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're trying to just confuse the hell out of you for the sake of you accepting whatever they're trying to tell you. That's what I feel like sometimes with time travel, where they're trying to go so convoluted that it's like, let's just make it make absolutely no sense. So it's like, okay, kind of, if you think about it.
Yeah, when I watch it 5, 6, 7 times, I can start to figure.
You're just like constantly trying to make sense of it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, with this, it's nicely laid out, and it's like, you recognize there's some degree of hand wave over it for sure. But for someone who's not like a scientist or anything, and like just has a general understanding of like DNA and that type of thing, I think it's a pretty compelling explanation for like how, an extinct species could be revived.
If this were to be possible, this is probably best case scenario.
Yeah. And just funny the way it played out too, with Hammond presenting it so awkwardly, and he's got his little presentation set up, recorded video, and he's like talking to himself. Oh, I got lines here. He's talking to himself.
Yeah. They mention in that DNA video that they used frog DNA and spliced it with the dinosaurs.
Specific about frogs, right?
Yeah, but why frogs?
Did it
have to be frogs? Would it have been something else? Or could it have been something else? And even if that,
frogs
what if,
more adaptable to new environments or something?
Maybe.
I don't know. There must be some. I'm struggling to remember if there was some explanation for why it was frogs specifically. I feel like I remember a line or two about why the frogs.
Well, were they like prehistoric or something? Or they?
Well, I'm sure they've
alive
been
during the Jurassic period.
Maybe not in the form we know them today, but it seems like the type of thing that, would have descended from some lizard, like land/water hybrid kind of lizard looking things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there must be a DNA like reasoning for why they would use frogs.
Yeah,
right?
some similarity.
More compatible or something like that.
Yeah.
Frogs lay eggs. Maybe it's as simple as that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like, maybe it's just more.
Dinosaurs are more reptilian, so
DNA.
they needed a reptile. Yeah.
Well,
or no, not
frogs
reptile.
are amphibians.
Yeah, amphibian, yeah.
Reptiles are cold-blooded, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And they, like, Sam Neill's character notes that they're in a surprise way that they're warm-blooded creatures.
Yeah.
Meaning that
or one
species
that they were cold-blooded. Anyway.
Yeah, one species.
Yeah.
A specific species. But he was like shocked as if previously he had thought that they were cold-blooded, as if they were reptiles. But maybe that's the frog, like they're more amphibious in nature.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, does that make them inherently more designed to survive effectively in this Costa Rican environment? Or is that akin to the climate they would have been used to way back when anyways? Like, I wonder if Costa Rica was picking.
Yeah, how spread was life. Like, we know the continents have shifted, so where were the dinosaurs primarily grouped? Like, it might have been in
I think they do have a sense of that, right? Like, scientifically.
Potentially.
I don't know myself, but I feel like they probably have, like, studied that to get a general idea of where they would have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what,
like, for the most part.
When Pangea relates to
Pangea,
the dinosaurs,
the shifting of the tectonic plates.
Like, I don't know when that was, but we won't
get in the weeds on that. I'm not much
this
of a
isn't a science podcast. We're not fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson.
No. But yeah, like Costa Rica was, or off the coast of Costa Rica or whatever, was the location was likely specifically chosen by Hammond, right, for its climatic properties.
I guess so, yeah. Or is that where the sample was found?
Environmental biome, huh?
Or is that where the sample was found?
The original sample?
Yeah, the mosquito.
Good question. I can't recall if they mentioned where exactly the original sample was taken from.
But even that, like, what if this wasn't Jurassic Park? What if this was like Ice Age Park and that was mammoth DNA or saber-toothed tiger?
Right, like if it wasn't
in the
just
mosquito.
Dinosaur DNA, could be anything in there.
Yeah. Yeah, what if it was different? That'd be a cool Ice Age Park. I mean, it wouldn't work in Costa Rica.
Sloth hanging in a tree.
Yeah, that'd be fucking awesome. Sloth and what's the saber-tooth tiger's name? Like Marty or some shit?
Diego.
Oh yeah, Diego. Yeah, that was far off.
And then Manny.
Manny, that's what I was thinking of, I guess.
Manny the Mammoth.
Manny the Mammoth. Fucking great one.
We talked about like the science behind Jurassic Park, but
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum's character is a good foil to the science of it and looking at it more through the lens of like the unpredictability, the chaos theory, the mathematical kind of
probability and
of things going wrong and all these things compounding that make this environment not as safe as it may seem.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wondered whether you found one more compelling than the other, sort of like looking through one of those lenses at the park.
Well, those are both like two. Those aren't mutually exclusive.
Interrelated.
Yeah.
Explain.
Like the chaos theory is based on the DNA sequencing that they've done. Like they've engineered these dinosaurs. They mentioned they like to be female, but they haven't accounted for the possibility or the probability that could change via evolution. And what he explains is
life
just vaguely, life finds a way, which like is correct. Living beings are resilient. That's why there's species that have been around since this prehistoric period, like sturgeon have been around since this period, and the life has survived. They've evolved. They've adapted to survive.
Yeah, there are other species that can self-impregnate or whatever, right? Isn't like platypuses? Don't they like?
Those are
platypi?
No, I think they're platypus. Platypi are marsupial.
Yeah, they lay eggs.
They lay eggs, but they're a mammal.
Okay. Oh, it's I'm thinking is it seahorses?
But seahorses, yeah. The male seahorse self-impregnates.
Right.
And spawns.
So yeah, there's precedent for it in nature, right?
Yeah, and then that they could evolve to change that and breed amongst each other.
Mm-hmm.
Or even
despite them all being
they mentioned
female.
Like the lysine thing that they had, that like the lysine security measure, that it was like this essential nutrient that the dinosaurs needed, that without that they would just die
off.
Yeah, but like by the same logic, obviously they would be able to get over this fucking vitamin deficiency and evolve through that. Like, what a ridiculous concept that, oh yeah, well we took away this one fucking nutrient for their gut biome, so they're basically fucked if they try and, like, no. They're not basic. No, they're gonna figure out a fucking way around.
But maybe that's the science outweighing the unpredictability. Hammond's happy with. Well, no. The science says we should be fine. We're extracting this nutrient. We're playing with the DNA exactly how we want it. We're engineering them genetically in a perfect manner so that there's no risk involved, or very, very little risk involved in their minds. But Jeff Goldblum is like, well, no, that's just not how shit works.
Yeah,
like,
I guess Jeff Goldblum's character should not have been the first one to think of that. Like, the scientist that is giving them this description that they're talking to at, like, that incubation thing, that guy is a fucking moron. I don't know, if Hammond spent all this money, why did he fucking phone it in hiring this guy? Because, like, if he's a scientist worth any of his salt, it sounds like he's never considered these things that...
I don't know. Maybe they haven't been pointed. Maybe he's distanced himself, not surrounded himself by people who are going to call him out on that shit, because he even comments that, like, he really doesn't like that Jeff Goldblum's character, right? When he's looking at him on the monitor or something. So maybe it was kind of like, I didn't realize he was like this. Like, he was going to, shine a light on these things that I've overlooked after all this time. Like, maybe he's ignored the advice of others who have told them to tread lightly, and now he's invited this guy to the island where he's kind of stuck with him now, and he's got to hear his bullshit, and it's like he's trying to downplay like the severity of what he's saying so that he can get the investors to back on board because they're, kind of touchy about wanting to invest given what happened at the beginning with the accident. So yeah, I think he's probably acknowledging that he's made a mistake inviting Jeff's character to the island here because he doesn't appreciate the way that he's viewing his park. And I think that he's specifically not surrounded himself with people who are optimistic about his vision as opposed to people who are nitpicking about, well, no, you got to think of this, or this could go wrong, or that could go wrong, X, Y, Z.
Yeah, no, it's called out.
Yeah. He has the money, he has the power, he has the authority. He's making the decisions. He's not gonna, staff someone who is resistant to those ideas and his vision.
But of course, Jeff Goldblum is correct, and he is right as always, because Jeff Goldblum is a god, and we worship Jeff Goldblum.
He's a visionary.
If you're hearing this cult of Jeff Goldblum, I would love to join. But no, yeah, it's obviously he's right. Most everything he predicts or expects is correct, and that the chaos of that and the unpredictability and the violence of it is very well represented by the incoming storm.
Yeah.
It's a really good metaphor for, the incoming panic and despair that's going to be going on within Jurassic Park. And obviously the weather and, that plays a role in the disaster that goes on. But it's also beyond that, it's a good metaphor for it. And
yeah,
in a larger
to the
way.
culmination of the chaos that Jeff's referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the perfect storm, right? The Raptors getting their chance after they've, like we were talking about, surveilled those vulnerabilities, and now all systems are down and they can capitalize on that. The storm is hindering the humans' ability to navigate through the park and stuff too, and this impending doom. So yeah, again, credit to the pacing there, because they the storm doesn't just hit right away, right? They get a little forecast first in the mission control room there, and they said there might be a storm coming in, they're calling for it to be kind of bad, and you might downplay the significance of that at first, but then when things start heating up with the dinosaurs and the park malfunctioning and Nedry's kind of execution of his plan, and then the storm really hits and things start taking off in climactic moments. So yeah, I think that storm added to the
atmosphere.
Yeah, for sure. That final culmination of everything.
Yeah, Hammond really is delusional, though, eh? As much as he's just kind of in denial in that conversation with Jeff Goldblum when they're hatching the dinosaurs, he just doesn't really want to accept what he's saying, which is fair. I mean, it's not correct, but I can understand that. He's put this much time and effort into it that, he doesn't want to be told he's wrong. I get that, but, this idea that he's imprinted on these dinosaurs as if he's their
mother,
their kin or their mother, is fucking delusional. Sam describes at the beginning, a 6-foot turkey with razor sharp teeth, and fuck that. You're not imprinting on that for shit.
I get the idea of it, right?
I appreciate
baby
the
imprinting on it's the first thing it sees, implying that that's its mother, its protector. It's gonna, take direction from it and be subservient to it to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's batshit delusional for sure. I mean, it's these delusions of grandeur and stuff too that he has, building this park and being the master of the tamer of these beasts and stuff and putting them on display. And yeah, I think it's just this whole aura of Jurassic Park has kind of warped his mind into how inherently dangerous this concept is.
Yeah.
The grandiosity of it all, I think, has kind of tainted him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, he is kind of delusional because of that. And going back to what we said too about that, like, well, is it like a bit of greed, or is it like benevolence that he wants to create this sense of wonder with this park and stuff? But at the end of the day, yeah, he's kind of getting a bit senile here and probably needs to hand over the reins to someone who is more respectful of the threat involved here.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of do like it as like a more of a ecological preserve sort of, as opposed to like a amusement park. Maybe just at a distance or something, throw like some drones around the island and like film the dinosaurs. I don't think it should be like plagued by guests and
like people going on a tour through the habitats of these beasts.
Yeah, I don't think it should be treated as a zoo, which is what Hammond wants. Well, it's kind of like a bougie zoo, right? Like more of like a Papanak zoo. Papanak zoo. Got that.
Yeah, big time got that.
But yeah, regardless of, how crazy he is, it's clearly his life's dream, right? Like we can see that with his cane that's encased in.
He's got the mosquito.
He's got the mosquito encased in ambergris, sort of the hilt of it. And he presumably carries that with him as like a token of this greatness he's achieved with this park that he's on the path to kind of come into fruition. So it's interesting how at the end, when they're flying to safety in the helicopter there, once all the shit has gone down, that he's kind of looking down at that staff, at that mosquito with disdain, like, what have I done, sort of coming to that realization. Like, it took that much to tip him over the edge and clue him into that, but it's almost like I feel a sense of like disgust wash over him a bit, like holy shit, like the veil's been pulled off here. I see what I've really done.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to have escaped with my life at this point. So yeah, I think that's a poignant moment for his character as a whole too. And I think that would maybe, if he were to revisit the concept of the park after that stage, not knowing what comes after in terms of sequels, or it could be maybe more like we were talking, like an ecological preserve. Like he could go that route where it's distance from society or whatever. Yeah. Let them roam free without any interaction between human and dinosaur, because that's just too many millions of years separated. That like Jeff Goldblum was saying, it's just, you don't know what to expect. How can you think that designing this as an amusement park is like
for
a viable
two
option?
Species that have never existed together.
Yeah. Well, what'd you think of the kind of the fun twist with the T-Rex saving the group at the end from the raptor onslaught?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if saved. I don't know if it was...
Well, he kind of intervened, or she intervened.
But was it for... Was it the raptors were trying to cut into that T-Rex's meal and it wasn't going to let that happen? I feel you might be giving a little too much credit to this T-Rex as being
maybe,
a protector.
But like self-preservation wise, a pack of raptors, like
a couple of 6-foot turkeys. I'm a fucking T-Rex. What are they gonna do?
Yeah,
the goddamn king of the
but why
jungle
get carved up and stuff? You're still gonna take some knocks, probably.
I'm not getting carved up. No way.
Well, it was getting carved up in the end.
You think fucking Grimnack's getting carved up? No way.
Grimnack with a strategic sequence of attacks and focusing on weak points. That's the whole...
He's not getting touched.
Did you not listen to Sam Neill's Are you the kid from the beginning right now? Do I need to have a discussion with you about the risk of raptors and how much damage they could cause and how clever and cunning and strategic and intelligent they are?
For a human, they are worth terrifying a child over. For a T-Rex, the fucking king of the jungle, it's good to go.
Okay, maybe it was just
little 6-foot guy. No problem. That's human at that point to them.
Either way, it's a valiant effort that needs to be commended in my eyes because I interpreted it as the T-Rex was like saving them in the end, I guess.
All right.
Despite the sequence before where they had the run-in with her and she was flipping cars and stuff.
Okay. I prefer to think of it as the T-Rex was a little too late for dinner, so you ruined it for everybody. Nobody got to eat.
What do you think, listeners? How did you interpret it? Settle the score here.
Let us know. Yeah, we're quite the impasse.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does bring us to the end of Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Jinx. I mean, barring any final thoughts or opinions on the movie, you just want to, how would you like sum it up? If you were to sum it up as like a pitch to someone who's never seen it like you had before now, how would you pitch it?
I would probably say that it's better than any movie that's come out in theaters in the last year, 2, 3, maybe.
Now that's a loaded statement because how many movies have you been to in the theaters in the last year or two?
Maybe I shouldn't say in the theaters, but as many movies that have been released to the public via streaming or whatever, or something. I definitely didn't torrent because I would never do such a thing. Why would I possibly not pay for something when I can pay for multiple streaming services and still not find the movie that I'm looking for? So makes no, sense. To answer your question, makes I would never torrent anything. I don't know why you're asking me that. But no, it was a very good movie. Holds up very well. Holds up very well story-wise and visually. Like, if that's something that is a bit of a drawback to people with going back to what I know there's a lot of people that are, more obsessed with watching stuff in the highest quality they possibly can, and 4K,
right, maybe a little more resistant to more potato-y quality.
Yeah.
No, but it's not potato by any means.
Yeah, no, it's still very well. The visuals hold up very well today, from the CG to just the cinematography and the visual storytelling.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would highly recommend it. But I would just warn people to be wary of Timmy, because that kid is a fucking moron.
Little Timmy.
He needs to get a fucking move on. Someone needs to light a fire under this kid's ass, because he is just... I don't even... He's just sitting.
Well, and
he's just not moving.
It seemed funny for his character, too, because he should have been one of the more educated ones, because he's read the guy's books, like Sam Neill's character's books, and presumably other... pieces of dinosaur literature. So you think he'd be the most adept at handling the situation, but he seems like a deer in headlights at points.
Yeah, he just can't.
Liability.
Can't get an absolute liability, yeah. Yeah, just a risk to the team. Weakest link for sure.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I would say, too, in terms of, gripes, I just had, a bit of, a facepalm moment towards the end when his sister, Timmy's sister, magically figures out the backdoor loophole to the guy's security system where he was going, she just all of a sudden, through a couple of clicks, is, I figured it out. She doesn't even have any like predisposition necessarily to computers. She's like, yeah.
Well, no, she does.
Or she said she's used that. She was familiar with the program.
Yeah, and Timmy does make a couple snide comments about her being computer whiz.
Okay.
Maybe a bit of a nerd.
It's sort of like, either way.
But even still, this guy is put.
The rest of the staff couldn't figure it out, but this little
Samuel Jackson can't fucking crack this, but an 11-year-old girl is like good to go.
Yeah. So that's
it's just like putting a puzzle together. Fucking A.
Not to say that there aren't like child prodigies.
Savants.
And, yeah. But it was just a little like ridiculous for my taste. But teach their own.
Especially after a dinosaur encounter. Like, as if you're not fucking rattled enough by 3 raptors coming after you that you're like, oh, yeah, no, let me just chill out, sit down, jump into this fucking program.
Yeah, I mean, I guess saying that, like, I shouldn't be too critical of, like, what seems illogical, or, like, the whole premise of the movie is illogical, obviously, but...
What are you talking about? What's illogical about the dinosaurs? How well trained they are?
Existence of them.
What?
Wow, Hammond really got
you just say to me? Yeah, Hammond and all the other rich paleontology fanatics I know.
What if Hammond
is 0 more
built some Snowpiercer cars for his dinosaurs? What if there were dinos on Snowpiercer?
That aquarium car maybe housed a couple of prehistoric.
Yeah, some big Leviathan dinosaurs. Nessies. Little Nessie sushi.
Little Loch Ness monster roll.
Be tasty.
That doesn't sound too bad.
Imbue you with some magical power.
Imbued with some fat bastard. Get in my belly! Get in my belly! Oh, God. Well, anyways, before we get too far outside of Jurassic Park, what, after all that discussion, including the, let's call them missteps with Timmy and his sister, where would you put Jurassic Park on our tier list?
It'd be high up there. Like, I'm tempted to put it on GOAT tier, honestly, just because I was like engaged the whole way through. There wasn't, sometimes in movies, like there's a certain like drop off point where you kind of like lose the plot a little bit, or you're sort of like, okay, I'm like slowly losing interest. Sometimes like you don't even notice it, and it's like you missed a bit and you clue back in, and it's like, oh wait, something's missing. This one I was just like, again, maybe it was the going back to the pacing of it too. Maybe that's what it was for me. I was just like engaged the whole way through and like wanting to see what happens, and it didn't feel like it was too long or drawn out, or there was scenes that were just kind of gratuitous or not really adding much to the overall plot. Like I thought every scene had its specific function, and in terms of like progression of the plot, or foreshadowing or setup, or like it just felt very well thought out, very well executed. Obviously, like we said, the CGI, the special effects were incredible and still hold up today. So I think with all that taken into account, and despite our very minor gripes, it'd be GOAT tier for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think you said it all there. There's not much more for me to put in. I don't disagree with you, so I think, yeah, I'm right there with you. GOAT tier for Jurassic Park.
Good stuff.
Well, there you have it.
Another one in the books.
Yep. If you have any questions, concerns, comments about our take on Jurassic Park, let us know at Fratnatics on Twitter or X, FRATNATICS. Or Fraternal Fanatics anywhere else.
We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers, everyone.